Basil Rajapaksa urges for a clean mandate to formulate a constitution which suits the nation without bowing down to influence from certain factions. Where is the space for everyone else when the government is already top-heavy? Dr. Dayan Jayatilaka questions. 19th Amendment to the Constitution cannot be changed, says the UNP.
19වෙනි සංශෝධනය අනුව දින්නක් දිනුම් පෙරදුනක් දිනුම්. ඒ නිසා තමයි 2015 ජනවාරි 8 වෙනිදා අපි 40කින් ආණ්ඩුව හදලා.
UNP and the ruling party have struck a deal, an allegation levelled by the Samagi Jana Balabegaya.
ගාල් ආසනේ පොහොට්ටුවේ අපේක්ෂකයා තරඟ කරනවා අලියා ලකුණෙන් කොළපාට.
Cabinet decision on abolishing the circular on other state forests delayed. And welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're joining me, David Paldano. Now taking a look at some local news. An event to celebrate Amarapura Day was held at the BMICH this morning. The event was presided over by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Sangha representing all three sects were present at the occasion. A book written by senior journalist Tupali Samarasinghe centering the life of Uttaritara Mahanayaka Agamaha Pandita Most Venerable Kotukota Dhammavasa Thera was presented to the Most Venerable Thera by the President during the event. A donation was also made by the Amarapura Sangha Sabha towards the Itukama COVID-19 fund. The yeoman service rendered by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa towards the development and upliftment of the Buddha Sasana in the country was commended at the event. Today is a special day for our President as well. He was once the Vice Chairman of our Dayaka Sabha. Now he is an advisor to our Dayaka Sabha. A President cannot only give prominence to one sect. It is his responsibility to provide attention equally and maintain close contact with all Theras. However, as a person who was the Vice Chairman and is the current advisor of the Dayaka Sabha, it is important to pay attention to the Amarapura sect.
Amarapura නිකාය පිළිබඳ විශේෂ අවධානයක් යොමු කිරීම වැදගත්.
National organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumana, Basil Rajapaksa, requested for a clean people's mandate to form a new constitution suitable for the country. He expressed the following views at the party office located in Nelum Mawata in Battaramulla. The biggest issue at hand is not having a proper opposition. People are opposing other people, but it is difficult to find something called an opposition. There is no one to oppose us externally. Our issues are created internally. Not only the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, we will be happy after forming a suitable constitution for this country. This constitution was formed in 1976. There have been 19 amendments after that. We ask the people to give us their clear mandate to form a constitution that is not under anyone. Otherwise, we will end up being hostages to other people. There is no one to be responsible for the 19th Amendment. No, that door does not exist anymore in our party. The door existed in 2005 and 2015. Give us a clear majority. If he had said that, there must be some truth to it. He does not make false claims. After our government came into power, we realized that the previous regime had made various agreements and reached various MOUs. That was not limited to the property or national resources. Various other kinds of agreements were signed. We cannot abolish international agreements all of a sudden. We are attempting to make certain amendments that will please both parties. But the constitution itself has granted special authority to the international agreements. To change that, we need the two-third majority. Therefore, we trust that the people will give us the power so that we can make the necessary changes. A final decision will be reached only after a broad discussion with the public adhering to the recommendations given by the committee that was appointed to study this compact. Our attention is focused on the conditions we have to deal with in the MCC compact. But security matters have been discussed with countries like the US. In that case, we are not the only country.
ඔය හැම රටක් එක්කම ඇමරිකාව ඇතුළුව අපේ රට සම්මානයෙන් අපි තනිවෙච්ච රටක් නෙවෙයි.
ජනාධිපති මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මහතාව යම් කිසි විවේචනය කරනවා. ඇත්තම මේ විවේචන තුලින් ඉදිරියේදී ඔබතුමාලා ආණ්ඩුවක් පිටවව යම් කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙන උන අමාත්‍යාංශ මට්ටමින් බාධිතයි. මේ ගැන ඔබතුමාලා වැඩ පිළිවෙලක් කියන්නේ කතා
We have held discussions with party leaders and with the president regarding this. We are ready to work with those parties while protecting their identity. But I would like to see more people from the SLPP would be elected. But as an alliance, all of us are contesting under the flower bud. All of them are talented, so the people have to choose the more talented ones.
ජනතාව තෝරන්න ඒ දක්ෂයෝ අතරත් දක්ෂයෝ. නෑ අපි ආසයිනේ අපේ පක්ෂේ වැඩියෙන් ඉන්නවනේ.
ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ මේ පොඩ්ඩක් පෙරමුණේම කට්ටිය පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට යනවා නම් හොඳයි කියලා. ඒකට දැන් ඔබතුමාලත් එක්ක අත්සන් කරමු අනිත් පක්ෂවල කට්ටියට සම්බන්ධ විපාක වෙනවා.
නෑ එහෙම කියන්නේ.
No, I don't mean it like that. You vote for the SLPP. Preferential vote is given to the person. I ask the people to use all three of their preferential votes. People have the right to choose the person they think seems the best. There can be a difference between what I like and what the people like, but most of the time the people like what I like.
තමයි ජනතාව කරන්නේ.
දැන් ඔබතුමා මන් දන්න තරමට තරඟ කරන්නේත් නැහැ. ජාතිකලා ඉස්කෝලේත් නැහැ. දැන් ඔබතුමා මේ ඉදිරියේ මොකක්ද දැන් ඔබතුමාට දැන් කාර්ය සාධන බලකායේ තනතුර ගන්න.
ඔබතුමානේ මට එකපාරක් තනතුරු දුන්නේ වදකද? ඒක දීලා නැහැ තාම. ඒක තමයි වැඩේ දීලා. මොකද කරන්නේ අතට? මං හිතන්නේ ආණ්ඩුව ආවම
I don't think there is such a need if the people elect the right people to parliament, but the party must be ready to make any sacrifice to safeguard itself and the people. If we are to rise, we need to work together. If not, we won't be able to build this country. I don't think a budget for 2020 will be presented after we come into power on the 6th, as there is limited time. The first budget will be presented in November of 2021. From there, we have to engage in building this country for the coming 3 to 4 years.
If someone says that Basil Rajapaksa is a US citizen and he will support the US in signing these agreements and in other activities, how will you answer such a claim?
My motherland is Sri Lanka. I serve Sri Lanka at present. Dual citizenship won't be a problem. I had a dual citizenship when I went to parliament after obtaining the most number of votes from the Gampaha district. During a media briefing convened in Colombo yesterday, former Sri Lankan ambassador to Russia, Dr. Dayan Jayatilaka, expressed the following views.
What's the game plan and what would be the implications of that game plan succeeding? The game plan is one of hyper-centralization of power, of the concentration and indeed the monopoly of power. Because what happens if you remove or dismantle the 19th and the 13th Amendment? What we have now is something that we have never had before, which is why I caution you against thinking that we are just going back to the bad old days of Mahinda Rajapaksa and, the SLFP and so on. We are not. It's much worse than that. You have a change in the structure of governance already. And that change in the structure of governance will be turned into a system. Now what is that change? You have a government you have rule by the president and a number of task forces which do not even include the prime minister and the cabinet. That's the worst possible thing that can happen to the country and to them as well. Just imagine it. A two-thirds majority in the hands of an establishment that is already top-heavy. It's top-heavy, A, because you have ex-military people being appointed by the president to run everything. B, because you have an unprecedented number of family members, people belonging to one family. So tell me, where's the space for anybody else?
The current stance of the SLPP is that it is nearly impossible to obtain a two-thirds majority through the preferential vote system. However, they are now speaking of a method to bring about a change in the constitution.
I do not know how successful we would be in obtaining a two-thirds majority through the preferential voting system. Two-thirds under this system means 150 seats. If we are to obtain 150 seats, we need to garner 94% of the votes. That is an impossible percentage. We would be able to obtain 130 to 135 seats.
Under this voting system, we will never be able to obtain a two-thirds majority. Chandrika signed 62% of the votes at the presidential election, but was still unable to obtain a two-thirds majority at the general election. J.R. Jayawardena was able to conjure up around 50% of the votes at the presidential election. If so, how does he have a right over this country? The current system succeeds in a system which would enable a faction to obtain a two-thirds majority. But later they created a system which would make it impossible to obtain such a majority. If we can obtain a higher percentage of votes than what J.R. Jayawardena obtained, we have the right to convene as a constitutional council. We will convene as such a council, not under the current constitution. Through the mandate of the people, we request the people to grant us that mandate. However, the new constitution we draft will be presented in parliament. We will then approve it through a majority vote. If need be, we will change the voting system of the country, count the number of votes we obtain at this general election through that system and appoint MPs accordingly.
මේ ලැබුණු ඡන්දය ගණනය කළා අපි മന്ത്രിවරුත් පත් කිරීමේ බලය ලබා.
The UNP is of the stance that no party should be given the opportunity to change the 19th Amendment to the Constitution.
I will clearly state that the 19th Amendment should not be changed at all. We should not enter the dream worlds of the others. The government will never be given a two-thirds majority by the people. According to the 19th Amendment, you win regardless of whether you win or lose. Even if we lose, government can be established based on a majority vote. That is how we created a government with just 40 people on the 8th of January 2015.
වස්තාවත් 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අනුව අපි ලියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා තමයි 2015 ජනවාරි 8 වෙනිදා අපි 40කින් ආණ්ඩුව හදන්නේ. දැන් මට පැහැදිලි නෑ ඔබතුමාලා ආණ්ඩුව ගන්න ක්‍රමය කොහොමද කියලා. ආණ්ඩු බලය ඒක මැජික් එකක්ද ඒක? මැජික් කියන්නේ නෙවෙයි. මැජික් මම පෙන්නනවා පොඩි දවස්වල වලට ඕන අපේ දාන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? ඔබතුමා කිව්වේ දිනලා නෙමෙයි අපි ආණ්ඩුව හදන්නේ හැමදාම ආණ්ඩුව හදුවේ පෙරදිලා කියලා. එතකොට ඕක ඩීල් එකක්ද මැජික් එකක්ද? මැජික් කියන්නේ නෙවෙයි ආණ්ඩු ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ සියලු දේශපාලන නෙමෙයි නම් ඩීල් එක. නෑ ඩීල් එක නෙමෙයි.
No, it is not a deal. We have created a rigid democratic structure through the 19th Amendment. What is this structure? We have enabled the state to be governed by taking into account the views of all political parties.
පක්ෂවල අදහස් ගොනු කරගෙන රාජ්‍ය පාලනය කිරීමේ ක්‍රමවේදය 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනයෙන් අඳුල්ලා දීලා.
This is the stance of the Samagi Janapalawega.
When you take a look at those who are with the United National Party, they have a certain record too. When you consider the number of court cases they have against them, the number of cases the SLPPers have and the corrupt activities they have been involved with, it is quite clear who is protecting these thieves, who has struck a deal with the government, who is asking the people to support the government. The people know.
කවුද කියන එක දැන් රටම දන්නවා. ඒක පාක්ෂිකයනුත් දන්නවා. ආණ්ඩුවට 3න්
The government can neither obtain a two-third or a simple majority. There are 48,000 Muslim votes at the Gaul electorate and not a single SLPP candidate is Muslim. There are no Sinhalese candidates too. So it is quite clear. The SLPP candidate in Gaul is contesting under the symbol of the elephant.
Meanwhile, a serious disclosure has arisen over other forest lands amidst warnings that they could be given to various entities based on a decision of a single individual. The move to revise a circular issued in 2001 was expected to be taken up before the cabinet today. However, it had been postponed to a later date.
We will not abolish or invalidate the Circular 5/2001 under any circumstances. Today a decision was made at the cabinet meeting to set up district committees and inquire into this matter. The cabinet will not adopt any course of action until an efficient work plan is implemented. I can say that the cabinet has suspended its previous decision. During the previous cabinet meeting they asked me to conduct an inquiry and submit a report. We submitted our report to the cabinet today. We will not tamper with the Circular 5/2001. We only hope to make a few changes to it.
යම් සංශෝධන ටිකක් කරන්න විතරයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. තව එහෙම තීන්දුවක්
A decision has not been reached in that regard yet. The cabinet has not approved it. It has not been put forward before the cabinet as well. We prepared a report. It was not put forth to the cabinet.
ඒක කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට දැම්මේ නැත. නෑ පස්සට දැමිලා නෙවෙයි. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න නික අනවශ්‍ය ප්‍රශ්න.
This is what happens when unnecessary questions are asked. Poles have been installed through housing land. Let's discuss this after this is reorganized in an efficient manner. We will not give it to farmers as well. We will not give it to anyone. We will give it to animals.
ගොවියන්ට දෙන්නෙත් නෑ. කාටවත් දෙන්නේ නෑ. සත්තුන්ට තමයි දෙන්නේ. කිසිම දෙයක් නෙවෙයි අරමුණ.
There are 5 companies mapping these 500,000 acres of land. The ulterior motive is nothing else but to give these land to them. During the previous government, around 15 or 20 proposals had been put forward to obtain land from Knuckles mountain range. Now there is a similar proposal to obtain land.
වරහා මේ ඉඩම් දෙන්න ගන්නවා.
මේ රජයේ ඉඩම් තනි පුද්ගල
We can see that this is a plot to bring the state land under the authority of one person and to lease it out to foreign companies and foreigners. The people of this country love their motherland. We wish to clearly state that we will fight against these attempts to lease out land to foreign entities.
ලබා දෙන්න හදන මේ උත්සාහයට විරුද්ධව අපි සටන් කරනවා කියන එක පැහැදිලිවම කියන්න.
Circular 5/2001 has been revoked. It is said that 500,000 hectares of other forest lands would be lost due to this. However, the President's manifesto pledges to increase forest cover would be increased by 100%.
අපි ඒක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කරනවා. නෑ අවශ්‍ය.
We haven't reached a decision on that forest land yet. We are holding discussions. Tell us if a single tree has been planted on other forest land that have existed since 2001. We will not clash with environment unions. Tell us if requests have been made to obtain at least a single tree on these land. Leave alone other forest land. The problem we have is that even forests under the forest department have not been protected. Therefore, the President has drawn special attention to strengthen the forest cover and to implement a suitable plan for that.
කවර එක ඒ කියන්නේ වන ආවරණය ශක්තිමත් කරන්න ඒකට සුදුසු වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ගන්න.
Several demonstrations were held island-wide today, claiming pensions have been slashed. The National Organization for Protecting the Rights of Pensioners played a major role in conducting the protests.
The pensions of state sector employees who retired between the 1st of January 2016 and the 1st of January 2020 was to be hiked in the near future by between 10,000 to 60,000 rupees. However, retired state workers lament the incumbent government had halted the increase of pensions through a cabinet paper presented on the 2nd of January. Accordingly, retired state officers staged protests across 15 districts today against this move. One protest took place at the Fort Railway Station in Colombo. We repeatedly urged the government to give back what is legally due. However, it is sad to observe that it has been more than 6 months and the government has failed to provide a feasible solution to this. The Department of Pensions has issued a document on the pensions that clearly states the amount of pensions that must be paid by the 1st of January 2020. It is this new amount that the new government has suspended through a circular. The Central Province Pensioners Union staged a protest near the George De Silva Park in Kandy for approximately an hour. We will continue our struggle until we receive the pensions that are due to all sectors. Protests were held near the Gampaha railway station, the Kurunagala clock tower, Madra bus stand and the Kalutara bridge as well. These are officers who made great sacrifices in the state services. They are professionals and intellectuals. It is sad to see that the pensions which are being granted for their services through a parliamentary act with the recommendations of the central bank are being deducted. A definite date has not been announced to pay the pensions. They are saying that pensions would be paid through future budgets. They are depriving pensioners of the pensions in thousands.
This is similar to snatching food once it is given. I was in service for 35 years. However, I am only paid a pension of 28,000 rupees. How unfair is this?
The protesters pointed out that more than 120,000 retired public officers have been affected as a result of this situation.
The government of Japan has pledged to provide Sri Lanka with medical equipment worth 800 million yen, which translates to 1.4 billion rupees. The medical equipment will help strengthen Sri Lanka's efforts to combat COVID-19. Issuing a media release, the Japanese embassy in Sri Lanka says the exchange of notes for the grant aid was signed between the ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Sugiyama Akira, and Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, S.R. Artigala. The release adds, Japan has been providing medical equipment and technical assistance to Sri Lanka since March of 2020 based on the request made by the Sri Lankan government in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. The contingent of medical equipment provided under this latest grant would include MRI scanners, CT scanners, X-ray systems and central monitors, which would be immediately installed at selected hospitals and treatment centers that have been leading the effort in combating COVID-19. News goes up next. We have Crime Watch.
Two bodies were found at the Denavaka River in Ganegama, Palmadulla. Police suspect the victims have passed away around 2 days ago. The identity of the deceased is yet to be ascertained. The bodies were recovered when they were floating in two different places and the face of one of them was severely damaged. The magisterial inquest took place this evening. A 17-year-old girl was sexually abused by a 24-year-old male died today while receiving treatment at the intensive care unit of the Balangoda Base Hospital. The 24-year-old youth has been arrested. Police said the victim was to enroll at a new school to pursue advanced level education and on the 5th of July has visited a tailor to sew new school uniforms. However, as she did not return that evening, relatives had filed a complaint with police and later discovered her unconscious in the residence of the suspect. Our daughter was unconscious when we went there. The mother of the 24-year-old had shouted saying we were coming and had asked him to flee. We were able to capture him. The teenage girl was rushed to the hospital and died at the ICU. Her remains have been handed over to her relatives. 4 members of the same family who were allegedly assaulted by a UNP Pradeshya Sabha member in Arachikattua, Chilau, were admitted to the Chilau hospital. The victims were the mother, 2 daughters and the son of the same family.
It has been 67 years since my daughter separated from her husband. She is now living with me. A Pradeshya Sabha member called Sujit Fernando has been involved with my daughter for about 8 months and we didn't like it. Since he troubled us a couple of times, I took the children away from them. He has threatened my daughter that he will stab me.
Police have commenced an investigation into the incident. The remains of a mother, father and daughter of Sri Lankan origin who were victims of a triple homicide in the state of Qatar have been placed at the Negombo District Hospital. The 3 victims were strangled to death. The victims have been identified as a 55-year-old mother, 59-year-old father and their 34-year-old daughter. It has been revealed that the lover of the 34-year-old daughter has committed the murder. The Sri Lankan was a taxi driver there. This family was using his taxi to travel. The leg of the brother-in-law was amputated and he was often taken to the hospital in this taxi. At such a time, this taxi driver has organized this. He has stolen their passports and thrown them away. We brought the bodies here only after we made their passports again. The person behind this has returned to Sri Lanka a day after he committed the murder. The deceased are residents of Kalania. Investigations are underway to locate the suspect.
Disputes both within and within parties are being figuringly heaving out on political stage at present. Up next are some of those instances.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa met with the party supporters last evening at the residence of former Minister Anurupriya Darshanayapa in Iriyogolla, Katugampola. Minister Johnson Fernando too had accompanied the Prime Minister. Anurupriya Darshanayapa held ministerial portfolios during the previous Yahapalana government.
We are not people who have completely shunned our leftist ideas. We never moved away from leftist ideologies. We will never agree with right-wing politics either. Therefore, at a time where we are planning to embark on a new journey with a new plan, I wish to make this request from all of you. That is to help our Prime Minister to a record victory. Do not think of our ideologies.
Later, the Prime Minister travelled to the residence of SLPP organiser of Katugampola and founding member of SLPP, Ranjit Lansakkara. Party supporters reacted when Minister Johnson Fernando mentioned Anurupriya Darshanayapa during his speech.
When we went to Anurupriya Darshanayapa's house, he said he was going to Ranjit Lansakkara's house. Mahinda Rajapaksa is a grateful person. I need not remind that to you. Let us embark on this journey together. When Mahinda Rajapaksa becomes the Prime Minister for the next 5 years, we will ensure the Kulunagala district becomes the most developed district in the country. Speaking of people in their own right and speaking about the party should be done separately. When speaking of individuals, the people will decide on who to vote for. But when speaking of the party, you should not treat it as a separate entity because we all contest from the same party. A virtuous political culture is required within the party.
Two groups representing the SLPP have clashed in Yapaho yesterday. The clash has taken place between a group of supporters and a group of supporters of TB Ekanayaka. The group of supporters of TB Ekanayaka has attacked two supporters of Johnston Fernando, alleging that they have visited villages near Yapaho asking people not to vote for TB Ekanayaka. People who were attacked have left the Polpitigama hospital upon receiving treatment.
They told us that a group from the Prime Minister's office had gone and told people not to vote for TB Ekanayaka, who is the organizer of the Yapaho electorate. I said nothing like that has happened. Then they attacked the driver of the van and another colleague of mine. I asked them not to attack us because nothing has happened for you to attack us. As I said that, they kicked the driver to the ground and dragged him and put him inside the defender they came in. However, they did not attack me. I told them that this is unfair and we shouldn't behave in such a manner, being on the same side. Anyone can vote for anyone they want, that is a right, but there is no right to tell someone not to vote. This issue has come to play with such conspiracies taking place at present. The problem has started when they followed that suspicious van. People who were not involved in this have started talking about this. This is not a big problem. This is only a small rift between two groups within the same party. These things happen at a time of an election. So we would like to ask you not to get entangled in this, because this is a joint attempt to make the party victorious and Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa victorious.
A defender and a van connected to the incident have been taken into the police custody. According to our correspondent, 3 suspects who were arrested over the incident have been put into remand custody till next Tuesday after they were produced before the Mahava Magistrates Court.
The decision reached by Palita Tevara Peruma to not contest the general election has now changed. He made this announcement following a meeting with the chairman of the National Election Commission. When my wife pleaded not to make my son suffer even after his death, they have torn down the cutouts right in front of her eyes. They have trampled it too. I showed everything to the chairman of the commission. When I gave him the letter, he said he can't accept it. He said that according to the new law, I cannot resign from this. He asked me to paste a cutout and convene a meeting there.
Colombo High Court Judge Pradeep Hettiarachi today ordered that the examination of witnesses in a case filed by the Bribery Commission against Minister Bimal Veeravansa will begin on the 26th of November.
The Bribery Commission had filed a case against Bimal Veeravansa for amassing assets worth nearly 75 billion rupees during his 5-year tenure as minister despite not having recognized modes of income to match the figure. Earlier, the court had ordered the examination of witnesses over the case to begin on the 7th of September. However, Additional Solicitor General Ayesha Jinasena, appearing for the Attorney General, said he would not be able to appear on the given date due to other commitments. The High Court judge had postponed the examination after taking this matter into account. Addressing a meeting in Bellangwila, leader of the Janata Vimukti Perumuna Anrukumara Disanayaka said that the time has come to make the parliament a clean place. Earlier, where did criminals hide? While Podi Vijay hid at the Min area forest in Porulnaruwa, Maradan Kadawaleyakadaya hid at the Ritikala forest. However, where do the fraudsters hide now? Inside the parliament. Sri Lanka's main sand racketeers are in parliament. The main ethanol dealers are in parliament. The 2 mill owners that are involved in the rice mafia are in parliament. They are the Lak Sahal and Nipuna Sahal mills. Sri Lanka's drug racketeers are also in parliament. The main bookmakers are also in parliament, isn't it? The person who looted the central bank is also in parliament. Therefore, the parliament has become an institution that is filled with fraudsters and criminals. How did they go there? The people voted for them. Therefore, if you are cursing the criminals in parliament, one must understand he is to blame as well. That is because it was the people who sent them. What must be done now? Let's clean it up.
නේද මොකද එව්වේ කවුද ජනතාව ඒ නිසා දැන් මොකද කරන්න ඕන මේක සුද්ධ කරමු
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa expressed the following views in Kurunegala yesterday.
මහෝගේ වතා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අගමැති මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන ජනාධිපති
When Ranil Wickremesinghe was the Prime Minister and Maithripala Sirisena was the President, they had their internal conflicts. The Cabinet and the Prime Minister did not listen to the President and the President did not listen to them. It affected the people of the country. The people suffered. That is why nothing was successful during the past 5 years. There has to be a Prime Minister and a Cabinet or it will only create issues. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa won the election with 6.9 million votes. A strong political party must be elected to Parliament to implement his policies.
Chairman of SLFP Maithripala Sirisena, speaking to the Pathikada program aired on our sister channel Sirasa TV, expressed the following views regarding the 19th Amendment.
There is both good and bad embedded in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The Independent Commission is a good element. But why are their weaknesses highlighted? It is mentioned in the amendment itself that once independent commissions are established, laws must be formulated through Parliament to administer those commissions. Those regulations have not been approved until today. Parliament has not done it. The Speaker should be held accountable for it because the Speaker, since he wanted to carry out his plans according to his will, did not pass these regulations. Are you of the stance that the 19th Amendment should be abolished or it should be continued?
ඉතාම හොඳ දේ ස්වාධීන ගෝණ සභා රෙගුලාසි හදපුවාම හරි. හැබැයි 10 ඉවත් නොකළ යුතුයි. 10 ස්වාධීන ගෝණ සභා ඉවත් නොකළ යුතුයි.
Independent commissions should not be removed. The country needs those. There is a vicious side to the 19th Amendment that is harmful to the nation. Through the 19th Amendment, powers have been vested with 3 people. The President has a portion of the powers, the Prime Minister has another portion. The Speaker has been vested with a vast number of powers and one of it is to regulate independent commissions. That is completely wrong. The Speaker controls independent commissions through the Constitutional Council. He is transferring officials, influencing promotions and carrying out many unwanted activities. The Speaker became an influential figure in the executive through the amendment. The 19th Amendment needs an amendment. That should be to limit the role of the Speaker to just the Parliament.
ජායකේ ප්‍රධානී බවට පත් වුණා කතානායක. ඒක නිසා 19 වෙනි සංශෝධනයේට සංශෝධනයක් අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ සංශෝධනයේ අවශ්‍යතාවය කතානායකට තියෙන බලතල සම්පූර්ණ අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. කතානායක පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට සීමා වෙන්න ඕනේ.
The Samagi Jana Balawege held a public meeting this afternoon under the patronage of its leader Sajith Premadasa.
දැන් මතකද දන්නේ කොවිඩ් ප්‍රශ්නය උග්‍රව තිබෙන කාලේ ආණ්ඩුව දැම්ම නිවේදනයක් 104 පොලියට සහන පොලියට කුඩා හා මධ්‍යම පරිමාණයේ කර්මාන්තකරුවන් වෙනුවෙන්
The government issued an announcement with the COVID-19 pandemic was at its peak. They said that loans would be offered to small and medium-scale enterprises at a concessionary interest rate of 4%. They said ordinary people would be given loans to uplift their economic standards. When I go for meetings, I inquire from the people as to how many have received these loans. I wish to ask the people of Galgamur, how many of you all received loans at a concessionary rate of 4% as it made it to the headlines of the media? How many haven't received the loan at a 4% concessionary interest rate?
ලැබුවා ඉන්නවනම් පොඩ්ඩක් 104 සහන පොලියට ණය නොලැබුණු අය පොඩ්ඩක් අතුස්සන්න බලන්න. ලැබුණේ නැති අය 104 පොලියට ණය නොලැබුණු අය.
This is the blatant lie of the government. Do you receive sufficient amount of fertilizer? They say that you are receiving sufficient fertilizer. Do you receive them?
ඇටි තරම් නොමිලේ පොර ටික හම් වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. හම් වෙනවද?
They said that water and electricity bills for March and April would be cancelled. Did they tell that or not? How did you get the bills? The bill was given for March and April. They also imposed a fine. In addition to that, they sent a red notice warning that services would be disconnected if the bills aren't settled within a specific date. On the 5th of August, disconnect this government that is telling lies. I wish to state that on the 5th, this government which tells lies will be sent home with the power of the people.
ජන බලය ශක්තියෙන් ගෙදර යවනවායි කියලා මන් තමුන්නාසලට.
The full interview conducted with former President Maithripala Sirisena, which was aired a short while ago, will be aired tomorrow at 6 a.m. on our sister channel, Sirisa TV. Now moving on to a much more lighter note, an elephant at the Minneria National Park gave birth to a twin elephant calves, which are considered as the first ever live elephant twins to be recorded in Sri Lanka. The Department of Wildlife Conservation said the twins were born several weeks ago, adding they are in good health and with the mother. Up next is the Newsline segment.
We have come across a candidate running this year's parliamentary election who thinks in a unique manner and tries to institute a change. He is Senajit Bandara Hunukumbura, who is contesting as an independent candidate at the parliamentary poll. Who is Senajit Bandara Hunukumbura?
Senajit Bandara Hunukumbura kiyanne kawuda?
Senajit in Sinhala means a person who wins large crowds of people. I am a human. I have grown up with animals, the environment and humans. By birth I belong to the feudal class. When I was small I used to rescue lost animals and release them to the environment where they grew up.
Since when have you been engaged in political activities?
I joined the Janata Vimukti Peramuna when I was 16 years of age. I was respected in the society since I belonged to the feudal class. I was wondering as to why I was being welcomed to such an extent because of a manor house. I sold that. Despite being a person who dreamt of becoming a doctor, I joined the army as a soldier without sitting for my advanced level exam. I then restarted a journey through education. However, my entire journey has revolved around the environment. I have come up with more than 21 innovations. I have displayed 14 of them. Most of them are various types of medicine.
Do you have patent rights for your innovations?
For some products I have the rights. However, I do not intend to steal in my journey. I want to eliminate that competition. Patents are given for 50 million while I get 15 million. When one vehicle comes into contact with another vehicle, one vehicle surpasses it. That is the unit. For that unit which is to be sold at 50 million, I receive 15 million. I am against that. I can spend that 45 million by distributing it among the poor.
I do not intend to offend you by asking this question, but some are saying you have gone bonkers. Some might have told you that as well.
Yes, I have gone bonkers. However, no one in the world has recorded victory without being crazy. Barack Obama became a US president after migrating from South Africa since he was crazy. No one has won without being crazy. Lincoln was a miner. He became a US president. Warren Buffett was also a miner. He became the 4th richest person in the world. The Apple company began in a garage. A person who is not crazy has not won. A person must be crazy. But I do not have a mental illness. I am contesting from the Kurunegala district. I have chosen the spider as my symbol. That is because a spider traps its food only after weaving a web. The trap that I have seen is a dangerous society.
Why are you contesting the parliamentary election?
Do you know that 100 grams of jackfruit in the UK costs 700 rupees in our country? A kilo is 7,000. However, they are left to rot on our trees. This country has a bounty of resources. They don't know how to manage them. Why is that? Do we have qualified politicians?
ඒ 225 ඇතුලේ ඉඳලා ඔය ඔබතුමා දකින්න හීන ඉටු කරගන්න පුළුවන් නේ කියලා. අනිවාර්යෙන් කර.
Definitely, I am an intelligent person. Although there are 225 seats, both sides won't be able to win 113 seats. I will intercept it through the middle. If I give you 1,000 rupees to cross over to my faction, it is a bribe. However, if a person comes from a different party and enters parliament, isn't it a bribe to promise them a ministerial portfolio in exchange for crossing over? That is an exorbitant bribe. I will not allow that.
Do you think you will be able to work if you become a member of that side?
I have been working voluntarily in Kurnagala for more than 20 years. 2 of my fingers are dead. 6 snakes have bit me. However, I haven't chased the snakes away and stopped kissing it as well. Once I obtain the remote control, anyone who forms the government will want me. Then they won't be able to commit theft.
You are carrying animals with you when you travel. You have brought them to our program as well.
These days I'm taking these animals with me because attempts are afoot to revoke Circular 5/2001.
What does the Circular 5/2001 have to do with animals?
By abolishing the circular, they are trying to destroy the country by cutting down the remaining forests and giving lands to companies and their allies. All creatures ranging from ants to leopards live in forests. This will allow environmental destruction to reach its climax. After cultivation, these lands will become similar to deserts. These animals will be left helpless.
Don't you feel that carrying a snake in a bag and taking it with you harms such creatures?
No, I got this snake yesterday. This is my 600th snake. I will release it back to the environment this evening. I brought it to the program to show that this reptile does a great service. Around 100 people die annually due to poisonous snake bites. However, more than 1,050 had died due to rat fever in 2018. More people had died in 2019. They are dying now as well. Who controls the population of rats? It is these snakes.
Yesterday you visited the Environment Ministry with a snake.
I went there yesterday because these animals have a right to live like humans. They also live in the environment. If the environment is being destroyed, what will happen to these reptiles? I will have to send them to be looked after by the environmental authorities.
Do you think that the government will abolish the circular and damage the country?
I will try to abolish it. I will round up the office. As a person who kisses snakes, it is not difficult for me to stage a hunger fast until I die.
Why do you use a twig like this? There are latest equipment to tame these animals.
These creatures creep through trees and leaves. This is a natural twig. As a person who kisses these animals, my compassion is of great value. That is the truth. I haven't removed the fangs of this snake. It is injured. Now watch whether it attacks me. It is easier to live with snakes. It is visible that they are poisonous. However, in the case of politicians and some people in society, it is difficult to identify whether they are dangerous or not.
Senajit Bandara Hunukumbara says that it is easier to live with snakes than humans. Let us wait and see whether he will win a mandate to enter parliament by loving and protecting animals.
ලබන පස්වෙනිදාට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට යන්න වරමක් ලබාවිද කියලා.
Maldives and Sri Lanka were verified for having eliminated rubella today, making them the first 2 countries in WHO's Southeast Asia region to achieve measles and rubella elimination ahead of the 2023 target. Dr. Poonam Khetrapal Singh, Regional Director, WHO Southeast Asia region, congratulating Maldives and Sri Lanka on their achievement by saying, quote, "Protecting all children against these killer and debilitating diseases is an important step in our endeavor to achieve healthier population and health for all," end quote. The announcement was made after the 5th meeting of the Southeast Asia Regional Verification Commission for Measles and Rubella Elimination held virtually. The commission comprises of 11 independent international experts in the fields of epidemiology, virology and public health. A country is verified as having eliminated measles and rubella when there is no evidence of epidemic transmission of the measles and rubella viruses for over 3 years in the presence of a well-performing surveillance system. Maldives reported last epidemic case of measles in 2009 and rubella in October of 2015. While Sri Lanka reported epidemic case of measles in May of 2016 and of rubella in March of 2017.
This makes Sri Lanka one of the first 2 countries in the WHO Southeast Asia region to achieve this milestone. This was achieved 2 years ahead of the regional target of 2023. We congratulate the Government of Sri Lanka, the Ministry of Health, healthcare workers, vaccinators, our partners. This achievement once again testifies the strength of the public health system in Sri Lanka.
Meanwhile, the World Health Organization acknowledged emerging evidence of the airborne spread of the novel coronavirus after a group of scientists urged the global body to update its guidance on how the respiratory disease passes between humans. The WHO had previously said the virus that causes the COVID-19 respiratory disease spreads primarily through small droplets expelled from the nose and mouth of an infected person that quickly sinks to the ground.
We acknowledge that emerging evidence in this field, as in all other fields, regarding the COVID-19 virus and pandemic, and therefore we believe that we have to be open to this evidence and understand its implications regarding the modes of transmission and also regarding the precautions that need to be taken. Do recommend as much as possible avoiding closed settings and crowded situations. We do recommend appropriate and optimal ventilations of indoor environments and also physical distancing, as you know, and when this is not possible in areas with community transmission of the virus, we recommend the use of face masks.
The Asia-Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management has stressed on the need to follow health guidelines, especially by students attending schools.
For the attention of all students, we are responsible for our own health. When you enter the school premises, there are certain procedures to be followed. Outside the gate, your teachers will check your body temperature with an infrared thermometer, and it is only after that you can enter the school. Before you enter your classrooms, you must use the taps placed outside to wash your hands thoroughly with water and soap for 20 seconds. Students are advised to avoid forming groups to have conversations or to play. Your studies will take place according to the capacity of the classroom. Relevant seating arrangements have been prepared for you in line with social distancing requirements. For health reasons, you may use spoons to consume your food, and at the same time, you must avoid sharing food with friends. Those who eat with their fingers must wash them well afterwards. Also, you may avoid drinking water from the common taps found within the school. When going to the washroom also, keep to social distancing and avoid going in groups. If you or your friends feel fatigued or unwell, you must inform your teacher at once.
We leave you tonight with the best YouTube video of the Negatimu Sri Lanka theme song. For the News First team, I'm Devi Paldano, joined by our sign language interpreter, Brian D. Cruz. Take care and good night.